up, guys? Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Video Game Replays. Joining me is my co-host CJ.
Hey, you know how it is. I got that dog in me today. It's a good day. This one's gonna be released on my birthday, so here it is. I'm here. Next to me, our Asian friend, Uncle, the big lair in the house. Talk to us.
That whole thing is in reverse because apparently, I'm over here.
Big
Yeah, is that
lair
way?
in the house.
That's the way I'm seeing it. Either way, how y'all doing? It's good to see you. How you doing, eh?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. It's had some more weather, a little bit more colder this week. Little cold front. We started getting warm, and then what happened? We just got cold again out of nowhere. Like it's March, bros. Like it's time to warm up, weather. God. So we still got a little bit of that blues coming in. Not as eventful for me, but what's been going on, guys? Larry, you been feeling the same thing, or you been out exploring in the cold, or what?
I got really hyped up when the weather got warm. I actually got moving around, doing some
Me too.
stuff. Wandering around my yard. Didn't actually I went back to my garage and doing my old man woodworking thing a little bit.
Oh shit.
Um, Strictly getting excited to do that shit. But other than that, like I say, it was really good. And in 24 hours, it went from t-shirts to sweatshirt, and I hated it.
What about you? See
Pretty
you.
much. Oh yeah, I went on a walk the other day and took the dogs, and my dog very much on the same page as me. Wasn't a fan, but it was warm. It almost hit 80 here one day. But yeah, we're getting a little bit of that coldness, high winds, no tornadoes on my house. Knock on wood, but a little bit of the same. Getting out and active, feeling good. Noon, 50 degrees hits. Even though I'm inside, it's feeling nice. So pretty happy.
Yeah, same for me. I was at work one of the days there where it was actually warmer. It was like at nighttime, it was like 55 degrees. I was like, hell yeah! Actually, where I was stationed at that day, it's like a kind of like a big open street with nobody around. And I just walked up and down. I probably walked like a couple miles, listened to a podcast on my phone in my pocket, just walking up and down the street. It was nice, and I tried doing it again last night, and snow was blowing in my face, and my lungs were getting cold. I couldn't do it. The game of the week, Batman video game on the NES. Pretty sick game. This game, a little bit about it. Batman the video game released in 1989, loosely based off Tim Burton's Batman. I think I've watched this Batman before. Actually don't know. It's a side-scrolling action
need to.
platformer. It's the developer is Sunsoft and publisher. Yeah, I mean it's a pretty dope game. You're trying to find Joker. You got different abilities. You got the beat 'em up Batman. You got the boomerang, the little gun. You got the boomerang, the little gun, the I don't know, the bat disc, whatever the hell, forget what it's called. But yeah, I mean it's a pretty sick game. I had not played this game previously. I had no expectations for it. But what's your guys' first impressions? We'll go Larry first this time. What's your first impression?
Okay. First off, if you have not ever seen Tim Burton's Batman,
I think I have, by the way.
I am of the generation that Michael Keaton's Batman. I'm sorry. That is my Batman, and that's mostly because you had Val Kilmer and George Clooney follow him up. Fuck that, Michael Keaton's Batman. But also in '89, this is the first Batman that came out that was beyond um, the old 1960s Adam West Batman. So Batman kind of got real. It's real dark and all that. Then I can remember the opportunity to play this game. It's dark. I don't want to say decrepit because I don't think that's a real word, but it's just a dark, real feeling. Batman's going out there trying to work on it. Um, this game's tough. It's real tough. Um, like to the point that it makes you feel like you're playing Ninja Gaiden, but you don't get a sword. You're Batman.
Yeah, that good words. Good words.
But I mean, I can remember it then, and I think even then it was praised to being tough. But I myself just, uh, it was hard. I have to say, back in the day, I was not a fan because of how tough this was.
What do you think, C? You got any first impressions you can give us?
Hey, you guys are gonna be proud. I'm making you guys proud. I'm learning my lessons here. watched the first cutscene. I started the game, said fuck that. I just skipped the cutscene, went back. It was kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. They paint the picture. You're rolling up the Batmobile, pretty badass. And throughout it, cutscene's pretty cool. Touch on it a little bit later, but cutscene got me hooked basically. Um, I'm not big on superhero games, so I had low expectations. I've just never been huge on Marvel, Capcom, all that. I've just never been huge on it. I don't know why. It's really nice to look at. Honestly, I think the scene they paint is really good, which I'll definitely touch on later. First impression though is this is nice. This looks really cool. Um, kind of excited. Got me more excited to play it than I thought I would be. That's for sure. Deal from the building. Talk to me.
First impressions, I liked this game very much more than I thought I would. I really enjoyed how your abilities and how you have each different ability and you can kind of use them the whole game. It's not some ability where if you beat one boss, you get to use it a couple times, but if you get hit, you lose them. I like how you have that ability the whole game, and each time you kill somebody, you get a drop. But I mean, first impressions, me, the thing that pops out most, the best part about this game is the board design and atmosphere. I mean, man, it is killer. Honestly, probably my favorite game that we've played, atmosphere wise. It just looks like for the time that it came out, it feel like it just pushes the limit for the NES. And man, this game looks really good. Don't get me wrong, at times, the movement can feel a little clunky. Don't get me wrong, it's different. It's definitely different. The jumping mechanic is definitely different than any game that we've played. But first impressions, I like this game. It's very different, but it's enjoyable. Let's go on
Fair to
to
say.
some I touched on, or me and CJ touched on that we really liked the graphics. Man, personally, the graphics they're just wild. Like some of the graphics and stages, like you have the sewer with the green water flowing. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
god, this is an NES game. This looks sick. What do you guys? You guys share that same sentiment, Larry? What about you?
It was very good looking. Like I say, there it's Sunsoft. I don't believe this is their first put out, but I definitely know they created something really awesome in this. Um, Batman looks like Batman. The stage very defining. Now, some of them I think they got a little carried away. All the pipes and
Fair.
different things, I
Hmm.
kind of get lost in it. But the layers, like you say, the water pouring out, the different stuff, uh, the the bosses, the mini bosses, the other characters, it was done really well. The limitations of the system, I think, kept the colors down probably more than they wanted to do it. But still, even with that, I mean, it looked fine. It looked good. I can't complain.
Dude, 100%. I don't want to ramble on too long. This is probably what I got the most to say about, so I'll try to keep it shorter than I was going to. But I mean, I really enjoyed the dark theme of it all. Like it definitely it had the dark theme, the dark colors. You're probably right, Larry. They probably wish they could expand a little more on it. I love the way it looked though. I liked where they placed the cutscenes. Didn't feel like too much, too little. Thought the level progression, through the scene of it, really nice. Like you said, Aiden, the touches of the sewers flowing. Um, I like that when you pull up, at one point the Batmobile pops out its little lasers, cuts yourself into the building. That was cool. I think
That's
the
badass.
enemies, dude, it was nice. The enemies were all I think you could tell what they were for the most part. I actually was a fan of the wall jumping a lot personally. I don't know why, just really liked it. Attacks as well, like you guys said, I thought they were clean. They weren't stupid and choppy. They weren't this slow and felt like you couldn't control them. I thought it played really clean. I like just the animation of it. I think the style even it looks retro, but obvious or at the same time it doesn't look like what it could have been being a cash grab kind of thing. Like, oh, we got a Batman version of a side scroll. No, this game looked nice. It looked really good. One quick thing I gotta ask you guys. If you remember, do you remember how many item uses you had, like the max that you got at one point in time? If you know what I'm saying.
You can get up to 99. I'm
Like
pretty
the
sure.
battering and stuff. Really? Do you know what your maxes were at all? I
I
think I
got
got to like
99.
84 at one point. Okay. I never got that far, but
I hit 70s on the ones at least where I could remember seeing it. So
yeah, okay.
I stacked up pretty well.
I don't know if you guys noticed,
I tried to be smart and use them more, but
but
Yeah.
there's a couple levels where there are droppers. They drop these little things, and you could just farm.
Mhm.
You could farm shit
Yeah,
on them.
that's fair. I did it at one point, but not crazy long.
But yeah, graphics. We've touched on that. Graphics were killer. Let's go into soundtrack. I actually think soundtrack was sick. I really like the title. As you're loading up, you have that one solo like, duh, and then like it goes into the soundtrack. I actually really like that. I really like that soundtrack. I into going into this game, soundtrack was definitely not something that I was looking out for, but it exceeded my expectations. I feel like the soundtrack was done well. Do you agree, C? What do you think of the soundtrack?
100%. I thought the soundtrack was really good. Sometimes with older games, I tend to turn it off. Eventually, if it seems repetitive, this was really good. It helps paint the picture. It felt dark, like the whole game felt dark, like you said, Larry. I mean, I think the sounds matched the colors of it, if that makes sense. It really perfect match for what the game was. I really like the soundtrack a lot. Back me up, Larry. Back both of us up here.
It was clean, it was good, but I'll be honest with you, as you guys were talking about, I don't recall any of the music. Um, I can't even recall if they actually played the original Batman score. But as I'm thinking about my head too, I've got the cartoon in my head from I think the 80s or 90s soundtrack wise. I think it was good. Don't get me wrong. It sounded good. The music played well, but it didn't. Nothing resonates to a point where I remember it enough to want to go back into it.
It definitely doesn't have as many iconic songs you see with Zelda or some of these
Fair,
other
very
games that
fair.
we played, but I
Mhm.
usually go back after I played the game and listen to all the soundtracks because sometimes I don't pay attention to it as much. And dude, I gotta show you the intro song. It got me hyped up when I re-listened to it. It was pretty dope.
Like I say,
Super clean.
I remember getting into it like, oh yeah, here we go. Let's do this.
Hmm.
But to recall it in any sort of shape, I
I
don't know why
gotcha.
it doesn't stick. I remember feelings I was getting from it. I remember, like I say, even the punching, the all these things,
Hmm.
enemies dying and the shooting. I recall it, but it just doesn't stick. It doesn't jump out
Fair.
forward. And I don't know if that's because I don't have buried in nostalgia for it.
It might be
The
that
nostalgia I
because
have.
I feel the same way about some of the other games, like when we played Super Mario Bros. Or some of these other games. I could not when we were talking about the soundtracks. I could not think of any song. But like as I'm playing the game, like
Fair. Been
I
there.
obviously I think it's sick, but I feel like since I don't have the background of ever playing these games, it's definitely not engraved in my brain as much.
Fair
So
enough. I
that could
mean,
be a factor. But I get you. It's not you don't have those iconic tracks that some of the other ones have that transcends generations for
Very
sure.
fair.
We're talking our praises. Let's talk our praises one more time. What do you think our favorite part of the game is? See, do you have a favorite part?
Yeah, I think it played really smooth and it looked great. To keep it plain and sweet. I mean, it had its difficult moments. Pretty much like any game we played, I could say. Maybe other than Felix, but it was really fun to play and look at. Like I felt sucked into the game. I didn't feel like I was playing a game. I don't know if you guys experience this, but sometimes like in your head, something will full screen while you're doing it. If that makes sense, you don't really realize that anything's
Hmm.
going around. This game did really well with that. I just played it through a soundbar. I didn't really play it through a headset, which normally it takes me to get sucked into a game. It really sucked me in. I just think it was so smooth to play, and I really liked the dark tones and the way it looked. Felt like Batman, like you mentioned, Larry. I mean, I really felt like I was Batman kicking some ass against these goons. I mean, it was just a really fun play. I think's my biggest takeaway from it. It was enjoyable.
Well, it sucked, CJ. Larry, did it suck you? Did you have the same experience?
it gave me a little fondling. I will give it that. I did like the stages, the layouts. Some of them did feel a little. You try to like give me more with less kind of feel, but you work to get through every stage. I'm thinking when I mentioned that, I think it's like stage three something where it's a lot of sewer stuff, and you have to basically you start the stage, it shows you the exit on the right side of the screen, but you've got to go all the way down, work your way across, and then work your way back
Hmm.
up.
Mm.
Um, but I did learn in a playthrough that that stage is kind of like a you better be really good at platforming at this point forward because otherwise you're going to not make it far in this
Hmm.
game at all. Um, so it brought out that new age of we're going to teach you how to play through playing the game. Um,
Yeah.
So I did that. This one's kind of weird, but did anyone notice how like we made a little Batman symbol when you died? He burst into
Yeah,
the
Yeah,
Batman.
yeah, that was
yeah.
sick.
I
I
did
really
love
like that.
that. I think that was an awesome little touch. I think that was pretty cool. Um, I again, like I say, watching, listening to a couple of different things. I didn't catch it, but I'm also not a huge Batman comics guy. But I guess like at the end of stage one or something like that, there's a little guy, a little ninja dude who's wearing red. That's a
Mhm.
Mhm.
character. I think
Okay,
they
that makes
said
sense.
every time that the guy who stands there and shoots at you is supposed to be Deadshot, which I'm like, really? So they tried to bring characters into it from the comics, but they didn't give them much details outside of some of the characteristics.
I wonder if
So
that was a. I wonder if they had any copyright issues with that. They tried to not make him that look that much like Deadshot or something like that. I wonder.
I'm sure it had something to do with it, but I also know probably back in that day that a lot of that IP stuff was probably not as entwined as we have today. It's just
Oh, probably not. Yeah.
um from what I understood, the like you say, this is supposed to be a lightly tied into the movie. I think the cutscenes is what really made it tie into the movie
Mm.
Yeah.
more than the gameplay itself. I mean, the Joker's the Joker, and he's just always been the antagonist of Batman. But the cutscenes, the you ever dance with the devil in the full moonlight? That's a straight quote
Yes,
from the movie.
I was about to point
Um,
that out that I forgot to mention. I loved it. Yeah, loved that.
the Batmobile, that's the only place that Batmobile shows up is from the movie, and you only see it in the cutscene. So I think that helped tie the two together as the thing. But yeah, those made you feel like you were playing the movie that you were kind of watching. I mean, the only thing they were missing was Vicky Vale and those kind of things. So I think yeah, those are a lot of the things I really enjoyed and did love about this game.
I will. Yeah, I will say. This might be a hot take, but one of my favorite Batmans is the new Batman. I think the Batman itself. I'm not talking about the movie. The character of Batman, the Twilight Boy. He's one of my favorite Batmans. But I will say, when I think of Batmobile, this is the Batmobile I think of. I think this is the most iconic Batmobile ever,
Mhm.
personally. But I do.
Yeah.
I think I agree with what CJ said. For me, most of it, even coming into this before the pod, I was thinking my favorite part of the game was by far the map design and atmosphere. That was definitely by far my favorite part of the game. I enjoyed the mechanics. I like a unique mechanic. I think the wall jumping was done really well. I don't know if any of you guys have played a game called Jump King. It's a very hard game, but the movement is kind of really similar. It's you press jump in the way you're facing. The longer you press jump, the farther you go, and it kind of plays like that. And I like mechanics that are unique like that. But I gotta say, my favorite part of the game is definitely the map design and the atmosphere that it brings through their map design. You can really tell how one time you're going into a factory, one time you're going into the sewers. You can really
Yeah.
tell, and I feel like that really brings a game together like this. We're speaking we're speaking a lot of high praises. Let's get down to the negatives. What don't we like? Larry, what don't you like about this game? Your least favorite part?
Um, I can't think what the hell that enemy's called. I have the book
Machine?
pulled up. So let me
The jumper where he
the
jumps
what?
back and forth?
The machine?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
Aidan
fuck
has
that guy.
that fucking
Yeah,
jumping
fuck
thing
that guy,
because
dude. He's on my list.
I'm I don't know what the hell he is. I don't know how the hell I'm supposed to take him
I
on,
think
and he
Yes.
see, I
just
think we're
ravaged me every time I seen his ass.
see he's talking about something
Yes.
different. See, you're talking about the
Yeah, no,
fireball shooter.
no, yeah. But no, the jumper dude was a fucking
Yeah,
bitch. I'm with you 100%.
the jumper dude was
Yeah, he's
stupid. It killed me so many times.
well. And the thing was, is like one time I could kill him with two batarangs. The next time, it's like my
Yeah.
batarangs didn't do a damn thing to him.
Yeah,
So it's
I'm
just
with
like,
you. Yeah.
what am I supposed to do with this thing? But I hated that. I'll step back and say I did love the design of the bosses, but I found it a little weird that every boss is almost 2 to 3 times bigger than Batman.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it's like that was a little weird. Maybe one or two of them, but like,
I
give
didn't
him a small guy who's quick too.
Yeah, I didn't end up making it to the Joker, but I watched a playthrough. I only made it to stage 4 out of 5. I think I made it to stage 4 3 and then
Yeah,
died.
that's where I'm at.
But if you if you play the Joker, or if I watch somebody play the Joker, and the Joker is weirdly giant in the game too.
Mm-hmm.
Like even the Joker is like 2 to 3 size of Batman. I'm like, this is not. Is there something in the movie where where the Joker turns into a monster? And
The Hulk
No,
Joker.
the movie accurate part of that is that that giant gun that he has. That was part of the quote silliness of Batman or of the
mm,
Joker. He goes to pull his gun out and it's like this big 3 foot long barrel
Yeah.
on this little 6 shooter handgun that he had.
yeah,
But and I'll say the one other thing again. Like I think I'm looking through this thing here. I don't know if I made it to stage 4 or not. Really. Strangely, this lists 2 different stage 4s in the book. I faintly remember going through one that felt
did you beat the
like a factory
Executioner?
kind of deal. Yeah, I beat him.
I believe that's the end of stage 3.
Um,
That's the end of stage 3. Yeah.
yeah,
After
so
that
like I
is
said, I
stage
made it
4.
to the very next one.
Okay.
But either way, the bosses is what really, again, they're good bosses. But I do not have the patience to fight some of these things. That's what the walkthroughs I had read and why, because I wanted to go further. This is truthfully the furthest I've ever made this game playing it through. Um, Found out today that there's cheats and codes and things you can enter that gives
Would have
you
been
all
nice.
these other things for this game, which I'm like totally mind fucked by. Um, but watching the playthroughs and how to beat these bosses, it's like you just gotta have patience and wait for this particular
Yeah.
motion to happen. I'm like, I don't have the patience for this. Um, and that's just probably just me, but that's just something that I want to gripe
I'm
and
with you.
aggravate about. But so
Yeah.
um,
I can back you up
I
on that
guess
a little bit with the patience. Yeah, I mean the bosses did. I had to look up some walkthroughs on some of them and stuff, and it was a big patience game. Which, yeah, I'm not the most patient person in the world, as we learned with the cutscenes in earlier games. My I think some of the enemies just didn't make sense mechanically. Was one of my biggest gripes. Like you said later, the jumper dude. It's like it just felt like there wasn't a way around it. Like you just had to kind of eat shit a few times or a time, and it was like really sucked. Another one I'd like to mention, I think it was stage 2, maybe. You get up to the top of the platform, and it's like the flying wasp dude that shoots 3 bullets, and he like goes up,
mm-hmm.
and they'll fly down and shoot. I mean, I ended up figuring it out with kind of ducking behind stuff, but that shit was annoying too. I guess it's like the bigger bosses on regular stage levels. It's like those the tank thing that was shooting fireballs. It just shot so quick. It felt like it shot before you were on screen, so you just instantly lose a life. Like that was really frustrating. Um, the bosses were hard. I think the biggest drawback of the game is the difficulty, but I mean, some people like it, some people don't. I'm an easier going guy, but I mean, it was at times a good hard, in some cases a bad hard. The fucking machine, dude, that was a miserable fight.
Mm.
I mean, that shit was a miserable fight. I think one big takeaway that kind of sucked is it felt like in all these games there always is like a way to beat the boss, but it felt like you almost had to like find like a cheese, like a way to just abuse the game there for a second to beat every boss in a way. Like when I was watching walkthroughs like on the machine, you had to kind of tuck in the corner and jump at certain times to shoot it. And it's like it kind of felt like I wasn't doing the boss fight. I was just kind of cheating my way through it in a way. There's no legitimate way to do the boss fight, it almost felt like. I felt the same way with the electrocutioner.
Are you talking about
Fuck
the
that
cubes?
guy. Like the Q yeah,
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 where the
yeah,
cubes
yeah.
go
So
around. Oh, my light just
Yeah.
died.
maybe. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so like I hated you go across the thing, like you can beat the thing shooting at you, but also like you need to bring in a million batarangs, a million guns, a million bomb things like in order to beat it. And it felt like I said, it just felt like there wasn't a legitimate or a more legitimate way to beat it. And like kept trying. I was soft saving just because I didn't want to have to keep going back because I'm like, dude, like I can't even figure out if there's a way to beat this legitimately. And then the walkthrough's pretty much like, oh, you gotta stand out the way and do this, shoot at a certain time. And I'm like, just it felt like I had to just abuse the system to kill you. Like, I mean, there's no real way to do this fight. I think probably my biggest gripe, honestly, just not being able to figure out some like legitimate ways to beat enemies. And almost like I said, felt like I had to kind of cheat in a way. Um,
Well,
Other than that, I
I
mean,
wouldn't so much call it. I wouldn't call it like cheating. Don't put yourself on that thing. But it's like it's got very bad '80s game behavior where it's like the game itself. It's really not that hard to do. You play the platform, you learn the things you do
yeah,
and don't have to do. but they still want you to buy a manual, not a manual, but a hint guide or something to get through these bosses. I mean,
Yeah.
because just to go rush in there and jump at them and try to just brute force them, it's not going to happen. I died so many times on the
Yes.
executioner and that damn block stage.
Yes.
I brute forced the executioner. I had
Not me.
I had 6 lives. The executioner slash, it only does 1 life, like the slash. So if you have boomerangs, I just spam boomerangs and killed him. Like I just stood in front of him and tanked him, and spam boomerangs
Nah,
and
not
killed him.
me. I had to hide on the
Mm-mm.
top left platform, and then when he jumped right or jumped left, I had to jump onto the wall and jump back. And then when he jumped straight up, I had to boomerang him 3 times. Walk to the left of the platform. When he jumped that way, boomerang him once. And it's miserable. Holy shit, it's miserable. If I stepped off the
I
platform, I fucked up my run. Like
Yeah, the
I
execution is
struggled.
what led me into picking up a walkthrough. I was like, I can't figure this out. This guy kicked
Yeah,
it fucking hard.
yeah.
I
That
couldn't I
and the
couldn't even brute
machine.
force him either.
I get it. I was gonna say the machine. Like I wasted. I think I by the time I got to the final part of it, I had 60 fucking batarang things left. Wasted all of them. I just kept missing. It kept closing its fucking asshole up every time I shot, dude. And then it just opened it up and shit fire on me again. And then I'm like, okay, cool, it's open. No, it puckered up every fucking time. So I mean that made it really difficult for me. And Aiden, I mean, maybe you can agree. I know you like hard games, but what do you is that something that killed it for you or no?
It definitely didn't kill it for me. I feel like the bosses, they were a little difficult. It did feel like the way to beat them was through a cheesy way to beat them, and it wasn't like if you're good enough you can just do it like as soon as you walk in there. It seems like you had to have some
Hmm.
sort of knowledge of the game or of the boss specifically to beat them. I know on the cube boss, there's I watched a video on it, and it has to do a lot with iframes. This is a big mechanic in Souls games like Elden Ring, where you have iframes, or you have iframes, and when you get hit by a boss, you have a certain iframes where you can't get hit again, or while in the middle of your roll, if somebody's attacking you while you're rolling, you can't. There's a certain second of those iframes where you can't get damaged, and you kind of had to use that a lot with the cubes. You kind of stood in one spot, and once he hit you, you tanked that hit, and you just Iron Fist punched him, uh, like while you're taking the hit. And I mean that knocks it down for me a little bit. Like Larry said, this was kind of a common occurrence. They wanted you to get these manuals and find the little secret. It wasn't as much as a way to, like a poor game design. It was very purposeful in the way they did it, I feel like, but that definitely knocks it down a notch. But I do think there is some some characters in this game feel like they're just annoying to be annoying, or like hard to be hard and don't add anything to it. Like the little jumping guy. I don't know what he is lore wise, but you get
Yeah.
caught once you get hit and he jumps back and forth, you'll just get caught in an infinite loop of getting hit until you die.
Yes.
And it's like
Yeah, good
that's just
luck
not
twisting
even
them.
that's just not even fun. I can't one hit this guy or kill him really fast before he kills me, and I can't get hit by him either or I die. Like it feels like you have to just there's a way you can do it where you just barely see and you can see him on his body and screen before he comes after you
Yeah.
and shoot him.
Before he jumps. Yeah.
But yeah, that was a little annoying. Some of the parkour was annoyingly hard and feel like didn't add anything. But
Well, I liked it. It's some of it felt difficult, like the ones where you had to drop down off of and
yeah, that's what
then
I'm
make the
talking
perfect
about.
jump across the thing. I mean,
I was be like,
those sucked
Love
ass, but I did like the ones you had like worked where you didn't hit
back
the
and forth.
chain or something like that.
yeah, I like
Yes, I
that.
like
I like
those a
that.
lot.
But the ones we have to drop, like the walkthrough I was watching, even this guy, like half the time he took damage to it, even when and he's
Hmm.
the walkthrough guy that's making the
Yeah.
walkthrough. Like it seems like
Yeah, the
that's a little annoying. But
the one parkour, if you guys remember, we all got that far, but there's gears on the right occasionally, and then there's the flamethrower dudes on the left.
yes, that was
Kind of felt impossible to get past them. Like, obviously you kill them, but I felt like they didn't leave enough platform to land in front of them to hit quickly. You almost had to land on them and then just spam punch. Like,
yeah. I
at
think I
least
ended
with
up just
me, like
face
that's the only
tanking
way I could
a
end
hit
up.
point.
Yeah, that's the only way I could get past it. And it sucked because there's like 3 of them, so like you lose 3 fucking hearts off of
But
it, and it's like some of them gave hearts back, I think, but still.
But don't get me wrong,
It seemed random.
a lot of these Nintendo Oh yeah, it is random. The drops are but I feel like
Yeah.
I saw something where certain enemies, the hearts are the least likely drop to happen, but every drop
Mm.
drops something in is random. But don't get me wrong. While we're hating on the difficulty and some things that are just difficult to be difficult, don't get me wrong. A lot of these NES hard games that and some stages are literally just like that. I know Ninja Gaiden had multiple stages like this, Castlevania as well. They had things that were just very overly hard and just hard to be hard. So I don't know if I can necessarily knock this game specifically for doing it when all these other legendary games definitely did that as well. Uh, we got through that. Let's uh let's go into some final thoughts. Do you have final thoughts? What do you think of this game? How is it? And don't say anything you've already
Um,
said.
absolutely. Um, yeah, I was surprised by it, I'll be honest, in a good way. Like I said, I'm not a huge superhero guy. Never really been big on superhero games. I've tried with the more modern Batmans, tried with some of the more modern Spider-Mans, and it's just like I've just never been able to get into. It's never really been my thing. Um, I liked it a lot, actually. I was super surprised. I was glad it sucked me in the way it did. Sucked me hard, sucked me good. Um, I think this game does a really good job with sucking into the game. I mean, sorry to keep saying it, but the atmosphere was great. The soundtrack helped it. I thought the gameplay was fun. There were some bad takeaways, like we said. The difficulty of some enemies sucked ass. I loved the parkour. I thought this game for what it could have been. This could have been a Felix the Cat, in all honesty, and kind of what I thought part of it would be. Just a cash grabby. Let's throw Batman on a basic platformer. This game's really good. Like I said, pleasantly surprised. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and throw it out there. If you haven't played it and you like a challenge, play this game. Even if you don't like Batman, like I said, it got me. I not huge on superheroes, but you gotta play it. Pleasantly surprised, to put it in short words. Pleasantly surprised.
No, well, you played again.
I think at some point, I think the cheats definitely are a little interesting too. They can make it a little bit easier without game breakingly easy. Like I don't want to fucking Super Mario Star the whole thing, but
I'm not
a
sure
couple
if you
cheats,
can.
yeah.
I'm not sure if you could do it on an emulator, but I did see something where you can do like up down to have like where you never have a game over screen, like kind of have infinite
Okay.
lives. I don't know if you can do it on
Well, I
emulators,
do.
but
I do in fact have a Game Genie, so let me get my hands on a physical copy of this bad boy. I'll fucking get in there. Get in there real good. Get them cheats going.
you
Back me
got
up, Larry. You'll love it.
your final thoughts. You love it, you hate it.
Um, it is a love hate thing. I'll be honest with you. I tried this out a while back just to get ahead of it because I knew I hadn't played it in so long, and I just didn't know where I was going to land on it, and I was frustrated. Um, but I gave it the fair shot because I knew it was a tough game. It's notoriously known for being a Nintendo hard game.
Yeah.
Um, and I learned to respect it. Like I say, the only thing I really hate is if the bosses weren't so cryptic on how to beat, um, and it became more of a skill versus a knowledge base, I could almost gushingly just give you everything I could about this game. But it's a little upsetting. It makes it feel like all the shit I went to get through to get there didn't pay off because now I've got to stop and have someone tell me how to do this.
Very fair.
Um, looks great, sounds decent. The platforming is awesome. Very good platformer. I think it's a very good game, and yeah, I'll be on the same page of if you have the opportunity to play it, play it. Now, no, you'll get your ass handed to you until you get it down. Because we didn't bring this up, and I don't know if you guys noticed it. When you were punching, did it feel off like you had to like adjust to the game's timing, like because of the one frame that it causes, like where you see his punch moving, that you had to like hit it off outside of where you thought you would want to hit it? Did you feel
Yeah,
that? Did you
actually, now that
notice
you
it?
say that, early on, I think it kind of just subconsciously fixed itself playing, but early on, 100%. Yeah. I think literally the first couple enemies, it kind of was like, okay, hold on, let me restart. Let me get this down.
It,
But yeah.
Aiden's face says he doesn't know what he's talking about
I
because
don't
his
I don't
his motor
really,
skills
but
are so good. But
I I didn't feel that way. I feel like there's definitely at his punches, the hitboxes of his punches extend a little farther than his character model, but I don't know if I necessarily felt that.
I just like say on the natural gamer feel of myself, I just felt like, I mean, it wasn't hard to adjust to, but I had to adjust to punching initially, and it
Maybe I did
just
it subconsciously and didn't really think about it, but
if you get a minute later, just stop in and drop play it and see if you like your first 3 4 guys, you got to like kind of adjust to your timing on it. I think that's something I picked up and noticed and I wanted to mention earlier. But um, myself, um, good game. I do recommend it for anybody who has the opportunity to play it. I I I don't want to say I won't come back and play this again, but this is not going to be in my top 20 games I want to come back and play anytime
Fair.
soon.
yeah, I mean, I respect what you're saying. I think I really enjoyed I really enjoyed the map design, the atmosphere really pulled me in. The only thing I disagree with you on, as I went back and actually listened to the music, this might be some of my favorite music, honestly. Might be top 5 games that we played music wise. I really like the music, but I do agree that there wasn't any iconic music coming in. I really like the I think the mechanics were very unique. There weren't wasn't there the characters weren't I mean, the mechanics weren't really similar to any game that we've played. I really like the abilities and the fact that they're almost not infinite, but you can use the abilities the whole game. They're not just an ability that you can
Yeah.
pick up and use a couple times throughout the game. There's something that you can really use the whole game. You can strategize with them. You can throw the boomerangs, the the bat. I don't know why I can't think of that word. What is this bat thing's called? Batarangs.
Bat
The
bombs.
batarangs. That's what I was trying to think of. And you have his little spear gun, and you can use them the whole game, which I really enjoyed. The atmosphere was great. There were some areas where it was overly difficult. I felt like some of the bosses felt like it had to be cheesed a little bit. I'm a big Batman fan, so that definitely helped my experience. Yeah, I thought the game was enjoyable. It exceeded my expectations. I thought I would not like it as much. Thought it was gonna be one of those one-off games that we didn't enjoy this much, like a Felix the Cat. But I liked the
Game
game.
is great.
The game wasn't perfect. Sometimes the movement felt clunky. Maybe that was because I wasn't used to it, but definitely first starting off, first playing the game, the movement felt clunky. But yeah, I enjoyed the game. Probably would come back to it honestly, and I do recommend it if you play it again. We do say that a lot. We do recommend it, but I feel like it's hard to not recommend a game because we're picking the best NES games, and it's hard to not recommend a game that was almost a foundation for a lot of games today. I feel like
Very fair.
it's always good to come back and explore some of the gaming roots if you have that chance to. So if it seems like we say recommend the game a lot, it's because we're playing the best NES. What can we say? Uh, yeah, I mean we're at that point of the video. What do we think, guys? We have to put it to a number, VGR scale. What do we think it is? And what number do you have? I'm gonna go with CJ first because it's my episode. I'm
You
picking
know,
you first.
I was about to say I normally don't like going first, but I'll volunteer. I put a lot of thought into it. I didn't want to rank it too high. I didn't want to rank it too low. I really think, honestly, I sit somewhere in between 1 and 10 on this. I like the number 8.5. I think especially I looked at a couple of our other games rankings before the pod. I think that fits really well along with some other rankings. You know, I don't like it as much as the Kirby's. I didn't enjoy it as much as Ninja Gaiden, but I give it a little bump over Castlevania. You know, I think games of this nature that we've played, think it was more enjoyable than I thought. The difficulty is really the biggest drawback, so I can't go higher. But 8.5 feels really good for me. Maybe one of my more confident answers without hearing your guys' thoughts on a number. So I think I like 8.5. Solid number.
Larry, you've been a little bit more critical. Do you have an answer? Or I mean, do you have a number?
Um, I have been a little critical on it, and I mean, I don't know. I guess CJ had said something there that triggered a thought, and I think this is something that I don't know if we remember or forget or however we want to say it, but I want to rate a lot of what I want to do off. Was it fun? Was it a good time to play? All those kind of things. I think that's we can talk about how great it is, and I think that's a little misleading to vote based off of graphics and sound completely because, like you said, we've picked pretty good stuff, so
Yeah,
that's kind of in there.
fair.
I've been dancing around, and I think as I look at it and as I want to say, I I didn't have a lot of fun playing this game. I mean, I enjoyed the challenge, but then I felt like my reward wasn't high enough. I didn't get anything out of it outside of now go figure
Fair.
out how to beat this. So with that, I've danced higher, and I will say you guys have convinced me to go higher than what I originally wrote down. I'm gonna go with a 7.8.
There you go,
Don't hate that
respectable
number.
score. I like that number. Personally, this is for me a little bit lower than Castlevania. I believe I rated Castlevania, I think a 9, if I remember. But yeah, I enjoyed this game. Obviously it was my pick, so it was a great game. But I think I'm going to kind of sit in between you guys, and I'm gonna give it an 8.2. That's my number.
Okay.
Also, not a
Okay.
bad number there.
Not a bad
Really,
number.
really isn't.
What does this average out to on the VGR scale?
That gives us an average of 8.2, qualifying it as a good NES game. I think that's fair.
It is. It is a good one. It's hard. I'll agree with that all day.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely hard.
yeah. Aiden, if I may, before we get out of here, can I ask a question that's Batman related?
For sure.
I I have already established where I'm at, and I'll establish it again as I ask this question. We've had several different Batmans through more years than we've been alive. Who is your best Batman?
I think
Mine is Michael Keaton.
I think I briefly in one of my answers, I think I might have gave my answer away, but I think I gotta say this could be recency bias, but Twilight Boy. I think strictly on Batman, not the Batman movie. I think he plays the best Batman. People are saying, well, he's kind of like too introverted and kind of emo-y to be a good Bruce. We got to think about it in the comics. He didn't start off the beginning of his Batman journey. He didn't start off this billionaire playboy. He was a little emo-y. He was sad about his parents' death, and then as he grew into his character as Bruce, he became that facade that he needed to become. I really like the newer Batman. I like I can't remember his name right now, but Twilight Boy. I gotta go Twilight Boy. Christian Bale, I think
Patrick,
is Patrick. What's his name?
I can't. There's
I
something
can't
Patrick
think
I
of it.
thought. I can't. Twilight Kid. Yeah. I know.
Twilight.
Come on, man. Do your
Oh God,
research.
help us.
Do your
Robert
research,
Pattinson.
man.
Robert
Robert
Pattinson.
Pattinson.
There we go. I like Robert Pattinson. Christian Bale, his voice was a little too bad for me. Michael Keaton, it wasn't bad. I actually watched that movie like I think like when I was like 11, but it was a little too maybe just a little too old timey for me.
Well, it was definitely a good break. I think beyond, Adam West and his purple and Boy Wonder running around with him, but it was. I think he played it straight well. He wasn't the arrogant billionaire.
Hmm.
So much the arrogant playboy one. I would like to have seen DC pull off a thing where he was the old Batman, like in the Batman Beyond kind of thing.
Yeah.
But before we go too much further, I guess Mr. CJ over here, I guess he wants to say who his favorite Batman may be.
I'm gonna be honest. It's gonna get a lot of flack. I don't know how many Batman movies I've watched, and be real with you, I don't think I have a favorite. I think the original one's hilarious to look at in modern day, but I think I've seen the Christian Bale one, and it was something. That's about all. I really don't
I did not know
remember, man.
a lot of people think Ben Affleck's Batman's really good. Like a lot of people think he's the best
I
Batman, which
think I've heard that
I
maybe.
can't he might be one of my worst Batman. I didn't like how clunky the suit looked
I think I've
and
heard
everything.
a lot of both, just seeing it on the internet kind of thing. But
I'm not a big fan of Ben
you know what?
Affleck's.
Let me pivot because I know something I do know. Joaquin Phoenix, great Joker. I liked it. I loved it. Loved it.
I didn't watch Joker 2, but based on Joker 1, I feel like that was a good
Yeah,
the fir-
her Joker 2 is not great, but Joker 1 I really liked. So that movie was phenomenal to me. It's one of my favorites, honestly.
you can't put Joaquin above Heath Ledger though. Let's be honest here.
No,
But
I'm
I
sorry,
don't
that's where I
remember it.
sit. Heath
So
Ledger.
I at least
Even
liked
Jack.
the Joker movie a lot. I'll say that. I did enjoy
Yeah,
it.
I don't know.
I did
I would
too.
like. I don't know. Heath Ledger. That's all I
Heath
got.
Ledger
Heath
all the
Ledger.
way, for sure. CJ, what do we got going on next week? What do we got going on?
Well, you're gonna have to bleep this part out because we have a special episode coming up. I'm going back to back. I won the Super Bowl prediction, as everybody knows. If you check our social
Ooh.
medias, you'll know it's coming up. You'll know it's coming up. Hey, screams from the haters. That's just my theme music. It's just my theme music. We got a special game coming up next week. It's gonna be good little game. I'll give you a hint. It's an indie game. Haven't played it ever before, but we all are playing it. But past that, back to our NES roots, not NEAS. Our NES roots tell me we're going on a quest. Not the first quest, but we're going on the second quest for Gargoyles. We're playing Gargoyles Quest 2, recommended to me by my pal Aidan, where we pick the games for each other. We're going to find out all about it here in 2 weeks after we talk about this non-disclosed game. But it's
Exactly. So
coming up.
next week, look out. We got a VGR special extra next week. And then the week after that, we got CJ's big fat head again. So you got 2 in a row.
Back
2
to
in a row.
back.
We'll see. Be ready.
And-
On the lookout. Special episode.
Hey, I guess I'll quote Drake on that. We'll go back to back. But more importantly, to quote my Lord and Savior Kanye West in a Batman-related statement. Maybe not my Lord and Savior, but in a Batman-related statement. Coming to you from an unreleased Kanye song called No Problem. Every Batman needs Robin. Every Jordan needed Robin. I get this shit no problem.
For
Not really
sure.
exactly to sum up my experience with the game. I did not get this shit no problem. I got this shit with very many problems, but that is the Kanye quote of the week. I mean,
Kanye
gotta
quote of the
have
week.
it.
Larry, do you have any advice for our listeners on what they should do?
Yeah, I got the best advice in the world. If you want to give us a comment, send us an email, leave a like somewhere. But most importantly, like, follow, share on your favorite podcaster. Check us out on YouTube where we've showed you the video portions of this. We got the social medias on Instagram. We even have a Facebook for the old folks. Follow us, look for us, talk to us. We want to hear it all on everything. If you can't find all those, linktree.com or just linktree/VGRpod. I'm old enough I have to think about that twice. But join part of the community, be part of the community. Send us an email if you have a question of the week you'd like to hear us work our way through. We'll be happy to do it for you. Other than that, that's about the best advice I can give to everybody.
That's great advice.
Best advice anybody could hear. Yeah.
That's the best advice anyone could hear. Well, this is this episode of the VGR podcast, Video Game Replays. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
There y'all. Thank you.
Batman. I'm Batman.
Bye, bye, bye.